Hey everybody, Jake here from Clinetimephotography. Welcome back to the channel. If you are from our people that are returning, anybody that's new, welcome. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy some of the awesome stuff that we're going to be talking about here today. This is huge for us as far as off-roading and everything like that. We are just super excited about it. A lot of great stuff has gone into making this happen. This has been basically like a lifelong dream right here. Essentially we are running full coilover front suspension on a 10th gen F150, which I stand corrected. I thought this hasn't been done before. It has actually been done before, but the problem is what I saw what other people were doing is they were basically mounting it and doing like a bracket that basically takes the stock mount and then ties it into where the bushing is for the limit, so when the lower control arm comes up and hits the limiter, they kind of tied it into that and it put the shock at a weird angle. BTF Fabrication did an awesome job, super stellar putting this together. They were able to tie this shock into the bottom lower control arm mount, into the shock mount where it's supposed to be. That way the shock isn't back this way or super far out or super far in. As you can tell, it lines up really nice. It's a little inboard, but that was just, it actually worked out really good. I super thrilled with how these guys did their job. Getting into that, BTF Fabrications, I chose them specifically to work on the truck because they did have a prior history of building long travel kits for this truck. They built them in the past. They know this truck suspension system. They're one of the few people that I know of that builds it specifically for this truck. And we wanted to go a little bit extra. We wanted to make sure that this was going to be solid. Now, coming to the long travel kit, that was an idea, but the problem with the long travel kit on the Ford is it was just going to be too wide. We go up to the trees, we go to a lot of different trails and stuff like that, and we wanted something that was going to be perfect for those nice, tight, narrow trails that gave us a lot more travel and a lot more flexibility. So we really were able to kind of make this happen. Total cost for doing all this fabrication, $5 grand. That's what I paid out of my pocket to have these guys do the work. I don't have any affiliation with them. They were just a company that I looked up and they said that they wanted to do the work, and I was super excited they were able to do it. Now, the $5,000 to be able to do this type of work, that was just to do all the fabrication, all the different custom mounting and stuff like that. I think I spent another $1,000 or $2,000 on parts and then shocks and everything like that. So we're into the suspension about $7 grand so far. I still believe even to this day that the Ford is an awesome vehicle. The biggest thing that really limits this truck's capabilities though is the suspension. The motor's solid, the transmission's solid, but the front suspension, in my opinion, was just really limiting the truck. So with this upgrade right now, I think that's really just going to be able to put it to like the next top level. You guys know we were having a ton of problems with the setup we were running with the Rough Country lift kit. It was breaking, and basically we decided, you know what, let's get rid of that all. Let's go back to stock. Let's start from scratch and let's just basically make it better. So we're going to go ahead and kind of go through some of this stuff and kind of talk about really what they did specifically. So first things first, the coilovers. These are Fox 2.5 coilovers. They're actually supposed to be for a 2018 4Runner. When we were first starting out, we were trying to figure out what shock was going to work, because the problem was we were trying to figure out a shock that was going to be able to clear the lower bushing mounts that stops the lower control arm from coming up and hitting the mount here, which we'll talk about, and then also being able to clear the CVs and being able to be tall enough. So lo and behold, I have a 2018 4Runner. I measured the shock and it just happened to work out perfectly. And then of course though, we had to figure out the mounting situation. They built custom made mounts up here for the coilovers, super solid construction. They also incorporated a engine crossover bar. This goes from here and goes all the way over to the other side and basically ties these both in. That creates a nice solid structure for both of these shocks, and that way it's just going to be super solid and not have any place to go. Another thing they did, and I stand corrected. Originally, I thought this hasn't been done before. It has been done before. I actually saw pictures of it after posting this, that it actually has been done. So I do stand corrected in that. But this, I believe, was done the right way. These guys were able to tie the coilover into the lower control arm factory mount. And instead of, I've seen a couple interesting mounts where they will tie it into, like, people make like a custom mount that goes to the lower control arm and also goes to like the bushing mount for the lower control arm stop, and it ties it all together and it puts the shock at like a weird angle. They did away with all that. They brought it right down, put it right here where it's supposed to be. As you can see, the shock is nice and straight up and down. It's not like this or anything like that. Coming up to the upper A-arms, we were thinking we were going to be able to get away with doing those other uppers, the ones that BTF fabricated and made, but unfortunately they were a little bit too narrow, which obviously makes sense. So BTF had to make some custom-made upper control arms, used a 1-inch uniball and then 3/4 inch Heims. Other thing they did was mounting the remote reservoirs. We decided, they decided to mount them up here up front. We're gonna have to play around with this idea. I gotta see, we gotta go take it off-roading, do some tests and stuff like that, really see, make sure that the tires aren't gonna be rubbing on these remote reservoirs, but for right now, this seems to be a super solid mount. Obviously with the coilover setup, the other problem we were having too was, now that we have all this force basically driving the suspension down, was now we have to figure out how to stop it. So they went ahead and put in some limit straps. The limit straps basically are going to keep this from coming all the way down and basically extending the shock out to where it's not going to be basically undoing the shock. And the other thing that we have to be careful of too was obviously this upper A-arm now comes down and comes, as you can kind of see, close to the coil over here. So obviously the big thing that we do not want to have happen is have this upper A-arm come down and start hitting on the shock itself. So that's another reason why the limit straps are tied in right there. Yeah, and it's that was perfect, a really good design. We have about 8 to 9 inches of travel up and down. You can kind of see basically what we have on this video right here. Just me jacking the truck out just kind of just shows how far the suspension just comes down and articulates just super well now. The other thing that we had to incorporate too, and they had to cut out, was the factory stop right here. The problem with that was it was too big and bulky. It kind of came in, basically it would have been right here and lining itself up, and basically the shock would have been hitting that mount. So that obviously is not going to work. So they cut that off, and we had to do a custom mount to be able to incorporate that into the factory stops, and making sure that it's not going to be able to be rubbing on everything right here. Yeah, and again, ton of work. They also, that's just basically for that. We also incorporated the stock spindles. We had to incorporate those back into the system. So the spindles for the rough country kit are obviously a lot bigger, so the stock ones we had to bring back. Obviously I kept those. The other thing we had to do is bring back the other lower the rear transfer case bracket crossbar that goes all the way across. We incorporated that again. So a ton of work. Like I said, I think they incorporated about 40 hours of time into basically building this kit and trying to figure out how they're going to make it work. And I can't wait to get it out and see how it's going to perform. I'm super excited for this. Again, as always, we will be tying in everything with you and making sure that if there's going to be some adjustments here and there, we're going to need to, I'll let you know, and everything like that. We'll do a review video and see kind of later on how it's doing and performing, everything like that. One thing we already immediately saw that we're going to have to mess with is our coils over here. We went with a 700-pound spring rate on these. So we're going to see if that's going to be enough. The front end's a little bit low right now, So we're going to see if we need to maybe just crank these down a little bit more just to kind of bring the front in, and we're going to see how it rides. That's really just going to depend, though, if you're thinking about doing something similar to this, on the individual weight of your truck. The Ford obviously is a lot heavier up front. It's got a off-road bumper and a winch. I estimate that's probably about an extra 200 pounds of weight up front. So if you're thinking about doing something like this, those are some factors to think about. And surprise announcement. So I've been talking with BTF Fabrication, and they really want to incorporate this and make a kit for everybody that has a 10th gen F150 similar to mine, incorporating an upper arms for your truck, and then also a weld it yourself kit, you know. So basically you're gonna have to weld the upper control or upper shock mount. You're gonna need to be able to weld it together and then weld it onto your vehicle. So they're talking about, we're gonna incorporate that, and then we are gonna be able to get that all set up so that if someone's wanting to do something similar to their truck, they can do it themselves. Yeah, super excited for them on that, and super excited for you guys too, so that way you guys get the all the awesome info and everything that's going on with this. But yeah, again, can't thank you guys enough for all the support and everything like that. We can't wait to get this thing out on the trail and start doing some trips again. We're definitely getting pretty eager to go and have a great time. So, as always, if you guys have any cars driving by, if you guys have any questions on the kit or anything like that, feel free to message me. If I can't answer them, you can always contact BTF. They're the ones, BTF Fabrication out of Upland. They're the ones that did this work on the Ford. And then you can also ask them about the kit that we're going to be putting together for the 10th gen F150s. So yeah, so stoked on this, guys. I can't even tell you how excited I am for this. This has been a long time in the making. Later on in the future, what I'll do is I'll also incorporate a video of why we decided to stick with IFS as opposed to solid axle and some other options if you guys are interested. And as always, if you guys want any other videos, or if you guys are interested in anything else on the Ford or any other videos, camping, off-roading, anything like that, send me a message, let me know. I love doing these videos. You guys are the ones that make this channel happen. So with that being said, you guys take care and have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.